Welcome to the lecture Case Studies on EU Urban Policy and Funding Compliance, prepared within the scope of the EPD-Net project. This course examines how the theoretical funding mechanisms and legal compliance tools discussed in previous modules are translated into practice in leading European cities. Cities such as Paris, Ljubljana, and Ghent stand out not only for their sustainability ambitions, but also for their successful integration of EU funding within complex legal and administrative frameworks. Throughout this lecture, we will analyze these cities' journeys toward low-carbon transformation, green mobility, and circular economy models from the perspective of funding management and planning compliance. Our objective is to understand the administrative and legal discipline behind successful implementations and to develop an applicable vision for your own projects. As part of the EPD-Net network, these case studies provide concrete roadmaps for making our cities more resilient and livable. In this lecture, we will examine the case studies across 5 main sections. First, we will discuss why case study methodology is so important in European urban policy and how it contributes to knowledge transfer. In the second section, we will focus on Paris's comprehensive climate plan supported by EU funds and explore how financial integration is achieved in urban transformation. The third section analyzes Ljubljana's transition toward green mobility and a car-free city center, highlighting the synergy between Horizon and ERDF funding that contributed to its selection as the 2016 European Green Capital. In the fourth section, we will examine Ghent's circular economy model through waste management and material banks. Finally, we will conclude the lecture with a comparative analysis identifying the shared success factors among these 3 cities. In each case, we will address not only technical achievements but also the use of compliance tools such as EIA and C. The competencies you will gain upon completing this lecture are critical for the implementation phase of urban projects. First, you will be able to distinguish practical and integrated uses of EU funding instruments, such as ERDF, LIFE, and Horizon, in urban projects. Second, you will understand that tools such as Environmental Impact Assessment, EIA, and Strategic Environmental Assessment, SE, are not merely administrative obligations, but mechanisms that ensure project legitimacy and success during implementation. Third, you will develop the ability to evaluate city-level sustainability indicators, KPIs, through real case studies. Finally, you will comprehend the impact of stakeholder engagement on funding compliance and learn how to design projects with high social acceptance. These objectives aim to equip you not only with theoretical knowledge but also to prepare you as project managers and planners operating at European standards. European Union urban policy is characterized by complex regulatory and funding structures. Observing how theoretical frameworks are implemented on the ground is one of the most effective learning methods for planners and administrators. Case studies demonstrate how regulatory requirements are adapted to real-world challenges and how obstacles are overcome in practice. Intercity knowledge transfer is a cornerstone of Europe's learning network strategy. A successful practice in one city can serve as a replicable model for another. Furthermore, questions regarding funding integration, specifically how multiple EU funding sources can be combined within a single project, can only be effectively answered through real-life examples. The cities examined in this lecture have translated the EU's vision of urban resilience from policy documents into tangible actions supported by concrete budgets and compliance protocols. Learning from these experiences reduces implementation risks and enhances funding security. Paris is one of the world's most ambitious cities in the fight against climate change. Its goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2050 and achieving 100% renewable energy use is fully aligned with the European Green Deal. At the heart of the Paris Climate Plan lies the concept of the 15-minute city, which aims to ensure that all residents can access essential services, such as work, education, green spaces, and shopping, within a 15-minute walk or bicycle ride. This vision reconfigures not only mobility but the entire urban fabric. Paris implements a wide range of strategies, from increasing energy efficiency in buildings to mitigating the urban heat island effect. This extensive transformation is not financed through a single local budget, but rather through a strategic combination of diverse EU funding instruments. The Paris case demonstrates how visionary leadership can successfully align with international funding mechanisms. One of the greatest strengths behind Paris's success is its ability to integrate different budgetary resources toward a single strategic objective. The city has extensively utilized ERDF funding for building energy retrofitting, including thermal insulation of social housing and green roof installations on public buildings. At the same time, innovative solutions focused on climate adaptation and biodiversity have been supported through the LIFE program. A critical feature of the Paris case is the synchronization of local municipal budgets with EU funds, which enhances co-financing capacity and distributes financial risk. Paris has meticulously mapped each expenditure to the eligibility criteria of the relevant funding program and has applied a strict audit trail discipline. This financial rigor has continuously strengthened the city's credibility and track record in subsequent funding applications. Paris's large-scale transformation has been built upon strict legal compliance processes. From the outset, the city's overarching climate plan was subject to strategic environmental assessment (SE). The SE process evaluated the macro-level environmental and social impacts of extensive greening measures and mobility transformations, particularly regarding air quality, water management, and social cohesion. This early-stage assessment enabled potential environmental risks to be identified and mitigated before projects entered the implementation phase. In ecological restoration projects along the Seine River, compliance with Natura 2000 standards and water directives was prioritized. Paris has treated legal compliance not as an obstacle, but as a quality certification validating project sustainability. SE reports have also played a strategic role in accelerating funding approval processes by documenting alignment with EU criteria. One of the most important criteria for EU funding is social participation. Within the climate plan framework, Paris has implemented participatory budgeting mechanisms that allocate a portion of the city budget to green projects selected through public voting. This approach has increased both project ownership and transparency in fund utilization. Citizen engagement in Paris goes beyond consultation and reflects a co-creation model in which stakeholders are involved from the design stage onward. For example, in projects converting schoolyards into public green spaces, local residents and students actively participated in the design process. For funding authorities, this level of transparency and participation is a strong indicator of long-term sustainability. The Paris case highlights the critical importance of the social dimension of funding compliance. Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, became a success story in urban transformation after being awarded the title of European Green Capital in 2016. The city's most distinctive achievement has been its transition from a car-oriented urban center to a fully pedestrian and bicycle-focused one. Planned under the Vision 2025 strategy, this transformation is fully aligned with EU urban mobility objectives. Ljubljana has not only pedestrianized its city center but has also digitized its public transport systems, implementing smart mobility solutions. By placing the European Green Deal's transport objectives at the core of local planning, Ljubljana has demonstrated that small and medium-sized cities can become global models through strategic vision and effective use of EU funding. The pedestrianization of Ljubljana's city center was the result of bold political commitment and meticulous planning. More than 12 hectares of urban space were converted into car-free zones, significantly reducing air pollution and noise levels. To ensure accessibility, free electric vehicles known as Cavalier were introduced for elderly and disabled residents. Smart parking systems and real-time traffic management redirected vehicle flows efficiently to peripheral routes. ERDF funds supported infrastructure upgrades, while Horizon funding contributed to innovation and technological integration. The Ljubljana case exemplifies the twin transition, the integration of physical transformation and digitalization, while delivering tangible contributions to EU carbon-neutral transport goals. A defining feature of Ljubljana's funding strategy is the synergy between Horizon and ERDF programs. Horizon funding was used to research and pilot innovative urban mobility solutions in collaboration with universities and technology firms. Once these solutions proved effective, ERDF funding enabled their expansion into permanent urban infrastructure. This seamless transition from innovation to implementation ensured continuity in project development. Ljubljana's Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan (SUMP) served as a reference document in funding applications, increasing project scores and funding success. This case illustrates how cities should view EU funds not merely as financial sources but as strategic instruments aligned with project maturity. During pedestrianization and public transport infrastructure development, Ljubljana faced significant legal compliance challenges, particularly in the historic city center. Environmental Impact Assessment (EIA) reports addressed not only ecological impacts but also the protection of cultural heritage sites. Some infrastructure projects were revised due to strict EIA scrutiny and public objections. However, these revisions ultimately increased social acceptance. Transparent communication by the municipality ensured that residents understood the necessity of interventions and environmental protection measures. Ljubljana's experience demonstrates that although compliance processes may slow implementation, they strengthen legal legitimacy and social trust in the long term. Ghent, Belgium, represents one of Europe's most visionary circular economy cases. The city aims to build an urban ecosystem in which waste is treated not as a problem but as a valuable resource. This transformation, planned under the Ghent 2030 vision, is fully aligned with the EU Circular Economy Action Plan. Ghent implements innovative projects across sectors ranging from food systems to construction. Its success lies in framing circularity not only as a technical solution but also as a model that strengthens social equity and local economies. Funding from Urban Innovative Actions (UIA) and Interreg has enabled experimentation and innovation, illustrating how cities can redefine resource management through EU support. One of Ghent's most tangible circular economy initiatives is the establishment of material banks in the construction sector. These systems document and reuse materials recovered from demolished buildings, reducing raw material demand and construction waste. In the food sector, the Ghent OnGuard project reduces food waste, redistributes surplus food, and converts residual waste into compost. Interreg funding supported cross-border cooperation, recognizing that circular economy systems require regional collaboration. Ghent has successfully met transparency and measurability requirements through digital tracking systems and certification protocols. Through the Urban Innovative Actions (UIA) program, Ghent has tested high-risk, high-potential projects such as energy cooperatives that simultaneously reduce unemployment and improve energy efficiency. These projects were monitored through strict key performance indicators, including metrics such as reused material tonnage and green job creation. The Ghent case demonstrates that KPIs are not merely numerical indicators but verification tools that confirm funding compliance and project success. Data-driven reporting has strengthened the city's position as an innovation hub within the EU. Despite differences in scale and focus, Paris, Ljubljana, and Ghent share key success factors. All three cities demonstrated strong political commitment and long-term strategic planning. They approached EU regulations not as constraints but as guiding frameworks that strengthen projects. Each city effectively combined multiple funding sources through blended finance approaches and embedded stakeholder engagement and transparency into project management. These cases show that sustainable urban resilience emerges from the integration of technical excellence, financial rationality, and legal compliance. A critical commonality among the three cases is the strength of monitoring mechanisms. Paris used air quality sensors, Ljubljana implemented traffic counting systems, and Ghent deployed waste tracking software to measure project performance in real time. Data-driven decision-making enables timely intervention when challenges arise, while transparency through public reporting supports audit processes and public trust. These cases underscore the necessity of allocating sufficient resources to monitoring and transparency infrastructure. In conclusion, successful urban projects must align with overarching EU strategies such as the European Green Deal. Financial sustainability requires integrating multiple funding sources and strengthening co-financing capacity. Legal compliance tools, EIA-C, should be viewed as strategic assets rather than administrative burdens. Stakeholder engagement ensures project legitimacy, while data-driven monitoring and transparent reporting guarantee funding security and project continuity. These case studies demonstrate that building green and resilient cities is not solely an engineering task but a multidimensional governance and compliance challenge. The case studies analyzed in this lecture are based on official documents including the Paris Climate Action Plan, Ljubljana's European Green Capital 2016 reports, and Ghent's Urban Innovative Actions Project documentation. Additional references include European Commission best practice guides and academic literature on urban resilience. All sources are listed in APA 7 format and provided through the Learning Management System, LMS, for further study.